When someone hurts you, it feels like an attack on your very soul. It triggers emotions that bubble up inside, pushing you to react, to lash out, to defend yourself. But here's the truth: you must grasp reaction in the heat of the moment rarely leads to resolution. It often leads to regret. Emotional control is one of the most significant aspects of human maturity, yet it's often the most challenging to master. When someone hurts us, whether with words or actions, our first instinct is to react. This reaction is a natural defense mechanism, a way to protect ourselves from further harm. But if we truly want to grow in wisdom and live a life of peace, we must understand that emotional control is not just about holding back tears or anger. It's about governing the thoughts and impulses that arise in moments of hurt. Emotions are powerful forces within us, often unpredictable and overwhelming. They rise up in an instant, fueled by how we perceive and interpret events around us. When someone says something hurtful or acts in a way that wounds us, our brain triggers an emotional response almost immediately. This reaction is often tied to our need to feel valued, respected, and loved. When these needs are threatened, emotions like anger, sadness, or frustration can take over. The problem with reacting to these emotions is that we often end up making decisions that we later regret. When we react impulsively, we're not engaging the part of our brain responsible for rational thinking. Instead, we are allowing the emotional, instinctive part to dictate our actions. The result? We say things we don't mean. We act in ways that may escalate the situation rather than resolve it. We might even damage relationships that we value simply because we couldn't control the flood of emotions we felt in the moment. It's important to realize that these reactions, while natural, often lead to greater problems. We may later regret our words, feel ashamed of our actions, or even harm the relationship beyond repair. This is why emotional control is so critical. It's not about suppressing what you feel or pretending that the hurt doesn't exist. Emotional control is about taking a step back and allowing yourself time to process those emotions. When someone hurts you, it's perfectly normal to feel upset. But emotional maturity comes in when you choose not to let those feelings dictate your behavior. Instead of reacting immediately, you pause, you reflect, and you consider the bigger picture. This moment of pause is crucial. It allows you to disengage from the immediate emotional reaction and engage your mind in thinking more clearly. By stepping away from the heat of the moment, you give yourself time to ask important questions. Why am I feeling this way? Is my response going to help the situation or make it worse? What do I want to achieve here? These questions are not easy to answer when emotions are running high, but they are essential for making wise decisions. Emotional control also requires a deep understanding of your values and goals. What kind of person do you want to be? How do you want others to perceive you? When you react impulsively to hurt, you're letting someone else's behavior dictate your own. But when you choose to control your response, you are living in alignment with your own values. You are showing that your actions are not determined by the actions of others, but by your inner principles and beliefs. In the moments when you feel hurt, remind yourself that reacting impulsively won't bring you the peace or resolution you desire. In fact, it may only lead to more pain, both for you and for the other person. When you control your emotions, you are not only protecting yourself from further harm, but also showing respect for the relationship. You are creating space for a more thoughtful and productive conversation later on, when emotions have calmed and both parties can express themselves more clearly. Emotional control is not something that comes naturally to most people. It's a skill that requires practice and self-awareness. In situations where you feel hurt, take a deep breath and remind yourself that reacting in anger or frustration will only cloud your judgment. Give yourself permission to feel the hurt, but don't let it control your actions. Over time, you'll find that the more you practice this skill, the easier it becomes. Emotional control will no longer feel like something you must force yourself to do. It will become a natural part of how you navigate difficult situations. Ultimately, emotional control leads to greater peace within yourself. When you can handle hurt without reacting impulsively, you'll notice a sense of calm and confidence that wasn't there before. You'll begin to trust yourself more, knowing that no matter what comes your way, you have the strength and wisdom to handle it with grace. This doesn't mean you'll never feel pain or frustration again, but it does mean that those feelings will no longer have power over you. In mastering emotional control, you are not only protecting yourself from the damaging effects of impulsive reactions, but you are also setting yourself up for personal growth. You are learning to rise above the temporary emotions of the moment and respond to life from a place of strength, wisdom, and integrity. And in doing so, you will find that you are no longer a victim of your emotions, but the master of your own peace. Silence is often misunderstood. Many people equate silence with weakness, believing that if they don't speak up or react when hurt, they are somehow allowing themselves to be taken advantage of. But in reality, silence can be one of the most powerful tools we have when faced with hurt. It is not about suppressing your voice or being passive. It's about exercising restraint and wisdom in moments of high emotion. Silence, when used properly, can convey strength, dignity, and control over your emotions. When someone hurts you, the natural instinct is to respond quickly, to defend yourself, or even to retaliate. But reacting in the heat of the moment often does more harm than good. Your words can become sharp, laced with bitterness, and driven by the hurt you feel. In these moments, emotions cloud your judgment, leading to responses that escalate the conflict rather than resolve it. But silence offers something different. It gives you space to breathe, to step back from the situation, and to prevent yourself from saying or doing something you might later regret. There is a profound strength in choosing not to react immediately. Silence allows you to maintain control over yourself, even when someone else is trying to provoke you or hurt you. It sends a message that you will not be drawn into a negative space by someone else's actions. This doesn't mean you're ignoring the hurt or that you're unaffected by it, but it does mean you're choosing a path that prioritizes long-term peace over short-term emotional release. Silence also serves as a powerful tool of reflection. When you're silent, you give yourself time to process the situation from a more objective standpoint. You are not reacting based on a surge of emotion. Instead, you're allowing yourself to think clearly about what happened and why it affected you. This period of silence can provide valuable insights into your own emotional triggers and can help you understand the other person's motivations. Maybe they acted out of their own pain or misunderstanding. By stepping back and choosing silence, you allow space for understanding and potentially resolution. In addition, silence can be disarming. When someone expects you to react, perhaps even hopes for a reaction, your silence can catch them off guard. It removes the fuel from the fire. Without your emotional reaction to feed on, the situation often de-escalates on its own. The person who hurt you may even reflect on their own actions when they see that you're not reacting in the way they anticipated. Silence creates a pause in the conflict, a gap where both parties can reflect and reconsider their next steps. However, it's essential to understand that silence doesn't mean avoidance. It's not about pretending the hurt never happened or sweeping it under the rug. Instead, silence is about choosing the right time and the right way to respond. There is great wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet. By staying silent in the moment of hurt, you give yourself the power to decide how you want to address the situation in a way that aligns with your values and long-term goals, rather than acting out of temporary emotion. When you eventually do decide to speak, your words can carry more weight because they come from a place of calm, thoughtfulness, and strength. People are more likely to listen when you speak after having taken the time to reflect, rather than reacting impulsively in the heat of the moment. Your silence in the face of hurt shows that you are not controlled by your emotions, but instead you are choosing how and when to engage. In many cultures and philosophies, silence is revered as a pathway to wisdom. It is through silence that we hear our own thoughts more clearly and gain a better understanding of the situation. This period of quietness allows us to connect with our deeper selves, to assess our emotions without being swept away by them. In this stillness, we can find clarity, perspective, and sometimes even forgiveness. Silence is an act of protection for your inner peace. Reacting to every hurtful word or action only drains your emotional energy. By remaining silent, you create a barrier between yourself and the negativity of the moment. You preserve your peace and focus, allowing the storm to pass without pulling you into it. This self-protection is not about building walls, but about recognizing that not every hurt requires an immediate response. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. Silence is a choice that reflects strength, wisdom, and self-control. It is not about giving in or allowing someone to walk all over you. It is about recognizing that your peace and emotional well-being are worth more than a momentary release of anger or frustration. Silence creates a space for healing, both for yourself and potentially for the relationship, should you choose to repair it. So when hurt comes your way, resist the urge to react immediately. Embrace the power of silence. In that silence, you will find clarity, strength, and a deeper understanding of both yourself and the situation. Let your silence speak louder than any words you could ever say in the heat of the moment. Forgiveness is a powerful concept that often eludes us, especially when we feel hurt. It's essential to understand that forgiveness is not a gift we give to others, it's a gift we give to ourselves. Holding on to anger, resentment, or bitterness only weighs us down, imprisoning us in a cycle of negativity. When someone hurts us, our immediate response might be to cling to those feelings, to feel justified in our anger. However, in doing so, we only perpetuate our suffering. The act of forgiving is a conscious choice to release that burden, allowing us to move forward unencumbered by the past. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning or excusing the behavior that hurt us. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending that it didn't affect us. Rather, forgiveness is about understanding that holding on to hurt serves no purpose except to hinder our own growth. By forgiving, we acknowledge the pain but refuse to let it control our lives. This shift in perspective is incredibly liberating. It allows us to reclaim our emotional power and to choose how we will respond to future hurts. Many people fear that forgiving someone means they are weak or that they are allowing the other person to get away with their actions. This couldn't be further from the truth. Forgiveness is a sign of strength and maturity. It requires us to confront our feelings and make a deliberate choice to let go of negative emotions. When we forgive, we take the reins of our emotional well-being into our own hands. We refuse to let someone else's actions dictate our happiness or our mental state. The process of forgiveness often begins with self-reflection. When we are hurt, it's easy to focus solely on the actions of others. However, true healing requires us to look inward as well. We need to examine why the hurt affected us so deeply. What does it reveal about our own insecurities, values, or expectations? This self-reflection can be uncomfortable but is necessary for personal growth. It allows us to understand ourselves better, and in doing so, we can develop resilience against future hurts. The more we understand our emotional triggers, the better equipped we are to manage them. The act of forgiving can have a profound impact on our relationships. When we choose to forgive, we create a healthier dynamic with others. Unresolved hurt can lead to bitterness, which often manifests in passive-aggressive behavior, withdrawal, or hostility. These behaviors can poison relationships, creating walls where there once were connections. However, when we forgive, we open the door for more honest communication and deeper understanding. We create a space where both parties can express their feelings and work toward resolution. This not only strengthens the relationship, but also promotes emotional intimacy and trust. Additionally, forgiveness fosters a sense of compassion and empathy. When we take the time to understand the perspective of the person who hurt us, we begin to recognize that everyone is flawed. People act out of their own pain, fears, and insecurities. Understanding this doesn't excuse their actions, but it allows us to approach the situation with a more compassionate mindset. This doesn't mean that we have to remain in a toxic situation or allow others to continue to hurt us, but it does give us the emotional tools to navigate conflicts with more grace and understanding. Forgiveness is also a journey, not a destination. It's essential to recognize that while we may choose to forgive, it doesn't mean that all the hurt will vanish immediately. Healing takes time, and there may be moments when feelings of anger or resentment resurface. This is normal and part of the process. What matters is how we respond to those feelings. Instead of allowing them to consume us, we can remind ourselves of our commitment to forgiveness. Each time we choose to let go of negativity, we reinforce our emotional resilience. In embracing forgiveness, we also cultivate a mindset of gratitude. When we release the hold that hurt has on us, we create space for positive emotions to flourish. We become more open to appreciating the good in our lives and in our relationships. Gratitude helps shift our focus from what has been taken away from us to what we still have and what we can create moving forward. It encourages us to build stronger, healthier connections based on mutual respect and understanding. The decision to forgive is a powerful act of self-love. It allows us to reclaim our happiness and emotional well-being. When we let go of the past, we free ourselves to live more fully in the present. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves, allowing us to move forward with clarity, peace, and renewed energy. It empowers us to approach future challenges with resilience and confidence. By choosing to forgive, we affirm that we are not defined by our hurt, but by our ability to rise above it. In this way, forgiveness becomes not just a reaction to pain, but a proactive step towards a brighter, more fulfilling future. The practice of responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively is a critical skill that we can cultivate in our lives. When faced with hurt or conflict, our initial response may often be one of anger, defensiveness, or a desire for retaliation. These knee-jerk reactions are usually driven by our emotions, leaving us vulnerable to making decisions that we might regret later. However, when we choose to respond thoughtfully, we create a space for understanding, growth, and constructive resolution. To cultivate this skill, it is essential to first acknowledge our emotions. Emotions are a natural response to being hurt. They signal that something has occurred that requires our attention. However, instead of allowing those emotions to dictate our actions, we can recognize them and take a step back. This pause creates a moment of clarity where we can assess the situation without being clouded by emotional turmoil. It is in this moment of pause that we gain the opportunity to respond in alignment with our values and long-term goals. One effective way to respond thoughtfully is to practice active listening. When someone has hurt us, it is easy to focus on our feelings and the urge to defend ourselves. However, active listening shifts the focus to the other person's perspective. By genuinely seeking to understand their point of view, we can gain insights into their motivations and emotions. This does not mean that we condone their behavior, but it allows us to approach the situation with empathy. When we listen actively, we open the door to meaningful dialogue, fostering an environment where both parties can express their feelings and work towards resolution. Responding thoughtfully often involves reframing the situation. Instead of viewing the hurt as a personal attack, we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. Each conflict holds the potential for learning, whether about ourselves, our relationships, or the dynamics at play. This reframing encourages us to adopt a growth mindset, where challenges are seen as stepping stones rather than barriers. By focusing on what we can learn from the experience, we empower ourselves to develop resilience and adaptability. It is also vital to recognize the importance of setting boundaries when responding thoughtfully. Choosing not to react impulsively does not mean that we allow others to treat us poorly. Establishing healthy boundaries is an essential part of maintaining our well-being and self-respect. When someone hurts us, we have the right to communicate that their behavior is unacceptable. However, the way we communicate our boundaries matters. By articulating our needs calmly and assertively, we reinforce our self-worth and ensure that our voice is heard. This approach fosters respect and understanding, which can lead to healthier interactions moving forward. Another key aspect of thoughtful responses is self-care. When we are faced with hurt, it is easy to neglect our own well-being in the pursuit of resolving conflict. However, taking time to care for ourselves is essential for maintaining emotional balance. This might include engaging in activities that bring us joy, practicing mindfulness, or seeking support from trusted friends or professionals. By prioritizing our self-care, we equip ourselves with the emotional strength needed to handle difficult situations. It allows us to approach conflicts with a clearer mindset and a greater sense of self-worth, ultimately enabling us to respond rather than react. Furthermore, responding thoughtfully can enhance our emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence involves the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions while also being attuned to the emotions of others. By practicing thoughtful responses, we develop greater awareness of our emotional triggers and how they influence our behavior. This self-awareness enables us to navigate relationships with more empathy and understanding. As we cultivate emotional intelligence, we become more adept at handling conflicts and can create an environment where open communication flourishes. Responding thoughtfully contributes to personal growth and development. Every interaction, especially those involving conflict or hurt, presents an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and our relationships. By reflecting on our responses and the outcomes of those interactions, we can identify patterns and areas for improvement. This continuous learning process fosters resilience and adaptability, allowing us to approach future challenges with increased confidence. In essence, choosing to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively is a powerful practice that can transform our relationships and emotional well-being. It empowers us to take control of our responses, fostering an environment where understanding and growth can flourish. By cultivating active listening, reframing our experiences, setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and enhancing our emotional intelligence, we equip ourselves with the tools needed to navigate the complexities of human interactions. As we commit to this practice, we become not only better communicators, but also more compassionate individuals, capable of turning hurt into healing and conflict into connection. Living in the present moment is a transformative practice that can significantly enhance our emotional and mental well-being. When someone hurts us, our natural inclination is often to dwell on the past, the pain, the betrayal, the sense of injustice. This focus on past hurts can keep us trapped in a cycle of negativity, making it challenging to move forward. By learning to live in the present, we can break free from the emotional shackles of our past experiences, allowing us to respond to hurt with clarity and grace. Living in the present moment begins with mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. It encourages us to observe our emotions rather than becoming entangled in them. When we practice mindfulness, we create a mental space that allows us to step back from our immediate reactions. Instead of being consumed by anger or sadness, we can acknowledge these feelings and let them pass without letting them dictate our behavior. This ability to observe our emotions cultivates a sense of detachment, enabling us to choose how we respond to hurt rather than simply reacting out of impulse. Incorporating mindfulness into our daily lives can take many forms. Simple practices such as deep breathing, meditation, or mindful walking can help us ground ourselves in the present moment. These practices not only calm our minds, but also sharpen our awareness of our thoughts and feelings. As we become more attuned to our internal landscape, we gain insights into the triggers that lead to hurt or conflict. This heightened awareness empowers us to navigate our emotions more effectively, allowing us to respond to challenges with greater equanimity. Living in the present moment also fosters gratitude. When we focus on the here and now, we can appreciate the positives in our lives, no matter how small they may seem. Gratitude helps shift our perspective from what has been taken away from us to what remains, cultivating a sense of abundance rather than lack. By acknowledging the blessings in our lives, we can create a more optimistic outlook, which in turn makes it easier to navigate the challenges we face. This shift in focus not only enhances our emotional resilience, but also enables us to approach future conflicts with a more balanced mindset. Living in the present helps us build stronger relationships. When we are fully engaged in the moment, we become better listeners and communicators. Instead of thinking about how we will respond while the other person is speaking, we can genuinely absorb their words and feelings. This presence fosters deeper connections and mutual understanding. When conflicts arise, our ability to remain present allows us to approach them with empathy and compassion rather than defensiveness. By creating a safe space for open dialogue, we can resolve misunderstandings and foster healthier relationships. Another critical aspect of living in the present is recognizing that the past does not define us. While our past experiences shape who we are, they do not have to dictate our future. Each moment presents a new opportunity for growth and transformation. By releasing the grip of past hurts, we free ourselves to embrace new possibilities. This realization empowers us to rewrite our narrative, allowing us to step into a future that aligns with our values and aspirations. Living in the present encourages us to take ownership of our lives, reminding us that we have the power to create change and pursue our goals irrespective of our past. Furthermore, embracing the present moment can enhance our problem-solving abilities. When we are mired in regret or resentment, our cognitive resources become limited. We may struggle to think clearly or consider alternative solutions to our problems. However, when we practice living in the present, we cultivate mental clarity. This clarity allows us to approach challenges with a fresh perspective, enabling us to explore creative solutions and make informed decisions. As we learn to detach from negative emotions and focus on the here and now, we become more adept at navigating the complexities of life. Living in the present moment also encourages self-compassion. When we focus on the past, we may be prone to self-blame or criticism. However, by embracing the present, we can treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. We can acknowledge our feelings without judgment and recognize that we are all human, prone to mistakes and missteps. This self-compassion fosters a healthier relationship with ourselves, enabling us to respond to hurt with love rather than shame. When we practice self-compassion, we become more resilient and better equipped to face the challenges life throws our way. Finally, cultivating the habit of living in the present moment can lead to a more fulfilling and joyful life. When we are fully engaged in our experiences, whether it's enjoying a meal, spending time with loved ones, or pursuing our passions, we unlock the beauty of each moment. This appreciation for life's simple pleasures enriches our existence and helps us develop a deeper connection to ourselves and the world around us. By focusing on the present, we learn to savor life, reducing the weight of past regrets and worries about the future. In summary, living in the present moment is a powerful antidote to the hurt and pain that life can bring. It allows us to cultivate mindfulness, gratitude, and self-compassion while enhancing our relationships and problem-solving abilities. By embracing the present, we empower ourselves to break free from the limitations of the past, fostering personal growth and a renewed sense of purpose. This practice not only helps us navigate conflict with grace, but also opens the door to a more joyful, fulfilling life. The journey of learning to never react when someone hurts us is one of profound personal growth and emotional intelligence. By choosing to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, we can transform our pain into opportunities for understanding and healing. Embracing mindfulness allows us to observe our emotions without being overwhelmed by them, while gratitude shifts our focus from what we've lost to the abundance that remains in our lives. Living in the present moment fosters deeper connections with others, enabling us to communicate and resolve conflicts with empathy and compassion. As we practice self-compassion, we cultivate resilience, reminding ourselves that our past does not define us. Each moment presents a new chance to grow and create a future aligned with our values and aspirations. As we reflect on these principles, let us commit to developing the discipline to pause, to listen, to understand, and to respond with grace, regardless of the hurt we encounter. In doing so, we not only elevate our own emotional well-being, but also contribute to a more compassionate and understanding world. Ultimately, the choice to respond rather than react empowers us to navigate the complexities of life with strength, clarity, and a deep sense of peace. Let us embrace this journey of growth, knowing that the power to transform our experiences lies within us.